Your Highness, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second panel, Technology and Innovation. My name is Rimoka Shi, and also serving as Implementation Lead for Middle East and Africa at SIF, and also the founder of Bicarbon. It's my honor to guide today's discussion with all our distinguished panelists. As highlighted in the Climate Tech in Focus report just launched today, for the Global South, AI is not simply a technology, but a development infrastructure. Across developing countries, the challenge is no longer whether the innovation exists. It's how we can use technology, capital, and institutions come together to translate ambition into scalable and also sustainable outcomes. So today's discussion, we will focus on how climate tech innovations can actually scale responsibly across developing economies through de-risk mechanisms, regional hubs, and political reforms that overcome institutional barriers. More importantly, we will explore how Global South economies can move from being a recipient of solutions actually to the active contributor to innovation and long-term value creation. So it's our honor to have today's panelists with already shaping these paths in practice. So let's welcome again our Honorable Ekperikpe Ekpo, Nigerian Minister of State for Gas, and also the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. And also our second panelist, His Excellency Yiping Zhou, Founder Director of United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. And last panelist is Nabil Al-Khawater, former CEO of Saudi Aramco Energy Ventures. So before our discussion, I would like to let our panelists to introduce yourself and your organization. Let's have Minister first.
All right. My name is Honorable Ekperikpe Ekpo, Honorable Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you.
And fellow Excellency Yiping.
My name is Yiping Zhou, and I worked for Kofi Annan, the Secretary General of UN, and then Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General, altogether for 15 years. And I was the Director of the Office for South-South Cooperation, and I retired as the Envoy of the Secretary General on South-South Affairs. And now I am in a national think tank to China. The leadership on the Belt and Road Initiative, as well as on South-South collaboration with the Global South.
Thank you so much, His Excellency Yiping, and follow Mr. Nabil Al-Khawater.
Thank you. As you said, I worked with Aramco, and one of the positions I held was CEO of their Energy Ventures group. Following that, I joined the Ministry of Energy as a senior advisor to the Ministry of Energy. And over the last few years, I joined Worley as their Executive Director for Global Customer Engagement. And so my current position is with Worley Engineering Consultants.
Thank you so much, Ms. Khawater. And thank you all for introduction. And let's move to our today's dialogue. So to begin with, we're honored to have the Minister Ekperikpe Ekpo with us, a leading voice shaping Nigeria's energy access, industrial growth, energy transition. So you're right, Honorable Minister, how can Nigeria leverage CCUS, green hydrogen technologies, and venture capital from global players to actually transform the gas infrastructure?
Yeah, thank you very much. The moderator and the panelists, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And to commence with, I sincerely appreciate the organizers of this Sustainable Week program that we are having here. Nigeria is a gas nation to begin with. So there are few issues that we need to look at: the carbon capture, utilization, and storage, hydrogen development, and to progress with it, we need finances to actually actualize the dream of our great nation. I would like to say that today in Nigeria, before development of any asset, you have to take into consideration the environment, so that you need to design for carbon capture utilization, hydrogen development across the processes in terms of gas processing, power generation, and of course, industrial hubs. So to this end, we can see that there is need to safeguard the environment. And of course, it is all about finances. And so to take charge of the finances, we need to identify with Aramco Ventures to process funds, because policy alone cannot change the system. And when you identify yourself with Aramco Ventures, a professional body, it will bring about validation to our own technology and help in developing in a way that will safeguard the environment. We'll move there to talk about we all talk about energy transition, and then we mentioned hydrogen evolution. In our country, Nigeria, hydrogen is natural evolution in our gas process. And to this end, we leverage or integrate renewables with our gas infrastructure. And then by doing this, we are developing hybrid energy hubs that will help in the production of hydrogen for domestic use as well as for export, thereby saving the assets. So Nigeria, we are not choosing between gas development and climate ambition. We align the two to ensure that decarbonization is guaranteed, innovation is attained, and industrialization is equally attained. According to my president, we are looking at making Nigeria a gas economy come 2030. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister, for sharing. And it's really, really happy to see we already embedded the iron energy transition into our gas infrastructure. And also in this year's report, we see you emphasize a lot the strategic role of technology across upstream, midstream, downstream operations, and the importance of partnerships, especially along the supply chain. So next question will be, what do you think about the partnership with South-South cooperation platforms and climate tech innovators can actually help us accelerate the affordable solutions, for example, the solar microgrids or EV charging infrastructure?
Yeah, to this end, no nation in the evolving economy can succeed on its own. We need collaboration with other nations, especially the South-South corporations. When you look about the Middle East, the Asia, and other countries within that region who have tested this transition and have proven to be viable. So there is need for our country to identify with the South-South cooperation so as to access funds that are available at that level to develop our own gas sector in keeping with the climate change initiatives. And so it is very, very critical. And I want to say at this forum that Nigeria is open for investment in the gas sector. We have up to 210 trillion cubic feet of gas, and the president has set various policies and measures in place to encourage investors in the sector, and so that accessing funds from the South-South cooperation will be an easy thing. And of course, anybody that is investing in Nigeria will have to make returns on his own investment. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your open call for the accessibility of the funds to Nigeria. We hope the firms from all over the world can build Nigeria better in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Minister Ekpo. And to continue our focus on collaboration and the shared implementation across developing economies. So let me welcome our His Excellency Zhou Yiping to join our conversation. As a leading advocate for South-South collaboration, your work has consistently emphasized turning partnership framework into the practical development outcomes. Therefore, I want to listen from your perspective. How can Global South Partnership can create the shared financing, joint R&D, and regional manufacture?
Well, thank you, moderator. First, I'd like to thank the organizer for inviting me to this august event, global event. And I also wanted to pay a special tribute to especially the Sustainability Week and the CIF, the Sino International Federation and Petroleum Federation, as well as this whole summit. And I think the world is watching and we have to deliver. Your question is absolutely right in focus, and I fully agree with what His Excellency the Minister from Nigeria talked about his own country. But I think the kind of commitment to climate and sustainability, the level of policy dedication, the initiatives, the private sector involvement, and the innovative financing solutions, all of that, I think it is not Nigeria alone. The whole African continent is all mobilized, okay, by itself. And each nation has its own commitment, but towards a common goal. So that, I think the minister spoke of the region, the kind of passion, commitment. So I think it's time for the world to respond. The questions about, from consumers of products or providers of materials to innovators for Africa. And I think I changed my mind before from the day I came here and today. What I'm seeing here is that from day one, the solutions to energy challenges, we have solutions in solar, in water, in hydrogen, in all of those areas that we've seen, and solutions to addressing the global south education problems, health issues, food security, and clean water, and all the solutions and digital innovations, AI plus industrial solutions that I heard on day one. The prize winners as well as the finalists. And I'm sure there are more. There were more submitted to the Secretariat. So I am seeing Africa, beyond Africa, the whole global south countries are providers of new solutions rather than just the recipient or consumers of innovations or new technologies, new ideas. I think some of the most frontier thinking for the future is coming from the global south. And therefore the frontier technologies is also coming from the global south. So I do believe the first question is that how to the south, global south is no longer a recipient, passive recipient of solutions, technologies, but providers of solutions to the global community. So I think that I'm seeing that today. Before I came, I thought, okay, let me try to answer how to turn the global south from recipient consumer of industrial products to a provider. I said, we are already a provider. So I think the reality answered your question. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much for excellencies. And it's really very resonant that right now, Global South, it's already become innovation provider, not just the consumers. So our next question is, because in the year's report, you noted that sustainable impact depends not on technology alone, just like you mentioned before, but on people, institutions, and policy together, and that capacity building must be treated as a really, really strategic priority. So building on that perspective, how do you see the effective facilitation of regional innovation hubs, where African, South Asian, and small island developing states can actually co-develop the locally adaptive solutions while enduring the R&D capacity?
Thank you so very much. To answer that question, I think following from what I just said, what I wanted to give you a list of figures, some figures about the Global South. First, the Global South is no longer geographic. It is no longer political. It is no longer an ideological group of countries, but it is a group of countries that are mostly geographically located a bit sort of south of the equator. However, in the UN, when in 2004, when I was first appointed the director for the Office of South Cooperation by Kofi Annan, and I told him, I said, the Global South is actually not just geographically located off the equator, but it's measured by development. So the Global South, as well as South-South cooperation agenda, was no longer treated by the UN since 2004 as a development agenda and not a North-South political agenda. So that is one thing I want to clarify. Second, today we're talking about the emerging Global South. It's actually about the emerging development aspect of the international community. So I would not look at the country specific as a member of the Global South. However, any community that is below the UNDP development indicators, or any group or any individual, in my mind, in my world, they belong to the Global South. So that's the second I want to clarify. So third is that the number of the population, considered as the Global South population, consists of almost now 67% of the total population. And the economic contribution to the global economy is up to 80% now, 80%. And then also about 80% of the solar energy demand, 80% of the energy demand will come from the emerging economies in the future decade. However, on the other side, then the solar energy new output may likely come out from the Global South, and that is also calculated around 70%. And the water energy is also counted as 60-something% from the Global South. So you have the demand from the South and then the supplies of new energy from the Global South. So I think that's some of the basic figures. However, I do not believe that a country any particular country can address these common challenges. So for me, last night I was thinking about how to turn all of these capabilities in the Global South, the innovations, the energies in the Global South, and supported by the global community and the UN, and put some structure in place. So since we heard the stories on day one, and then we sort of walked through the exhibition halls and see all the technical solutions. How can we put all of these solutions together and make them, one, available, two, accessible, three, affordable, and four, sustainable? So last night I was thinking about it. So it's not mature, it's not full, but it's my personal idea. So I put it on a piece of paper, and I'm going just to say that my proposition for all of this and for the Global South and the international community to come together to deal with these challenges are to put in place, a structure. And I call it a green innovations value exchange mechanism. So in short, it's a give. Green innovations value exchange give. Mechanism is X. So if we put together in place a give X structure, It is AI powered with a open source model with multiple modules. Okay, let's say a solar module led by a solar conglomerate in the global south. Let's say there's a hydro module, okay, for the water, and we are going to have a water conference here. And I truly fully support what actually the, His High Excellency, the President of CCUS just said earlier, that how can we turn the water into actually the wealth of the global south. And I also heard my former colleague, Eric Soran, talking about green is gold, and blue is also gold. And how can we turn that all into place? So I do propose this one, and I think we can start from here. Now, the structure, I made it very simple, and I hope you can probably remember this. I call it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 structure plus multiple modules. Okay, I'm going to go through very quickly. One is this called Green Innovations Value Exchange Mechanism for the Global South. Okay, I know many of you know DeepSeek, right? So I'm not talking about DeepSeek as such. However, the Global South should have its own DeepSeek. And that's for the green, for the innovations side. So that's one, I call it one. So I'm going to skip the other one. Two, meaning two frontiers. In design of the structure, we have to have a frontier thinking, which I said earlier, coming from the Global South as well as from the Global North, and frontier technologies. So that these two frontiers in designing of the structure. Three, I meaning that the structure should have 3 spaces, operable spaces. The first space is informative, where information is currently now all available. So informative space, everybody can use the space to get whatever information you have, or you want to post whatever information you have to be made available to the public. But you are liable for the information you put in the public because there is a blockchain technology following you. 3, okay. 2, it's an interactive space. So when you got into the system, it's interactive. You can try to find the person, the counterpart, the deals that you wanted to make. So it's an interactive space that you need a special key. Okay? And 3, the third space is, I call it transactive. I know people in the business know what transacting means. Okay? It's a transactional, it's a trading-based space where deals should be made. And all negotiations, all process should be recorded because it is blockchain technology.
Thank you so much for Excellency Zhou Yiping, because the time is limited, so let's leave some time for other panelists. Thank you so much for sharing, especially the new mechanism, how we can convene all the... Yes, after the forum, let's just welcome the time to chat with Zhou Yiping, His Excellency Zhou Yiping, to more details about the mechanism. So, because we talk a lot about how to enhance the affordability of sustainability, so investment is so important. So now we turn from the partnership to investment. This question is for Mr. Nabil Al-Khawater. What de-risking mechanism, especially like the regional innovation hubs, are most effective in scaling the climate tech globally?
I think the answer to that is really, the easiest answer is actually forums like this. And I can say that the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Prize is a good example of creating a situation where you have around the world the spreading of knowledge around the world and the support of small organizations around the world that are not necessarily in the wealthy countries, because one of the problems we have now is that most of the innovation is happening where there is capital and where there is universities and knowledge, and creating organizations like, for example, the Sino International Entrepreneurs Federation actually helps to spread the knowledge on one hand and the capital by highlighting young entrepreneurs around the world who might be coming up with new technologies that help in, say, reducing emissions, helping prevent climate change, etc. So I think the best answer to it is more forums and conferences like this to spread the knowledge and to support people around the world who are far away from the centers of wealth and power.
Thank you so much to share with our audience about how SAFE can actually contribute to this energy transition and the topic of sustainability from multinational collaboration to technology and innovation. So
Yes.
thank you so much, our distinguished panelists, and also thank you so much for our audience to join our important conversation. For the Global South, the future of climate tech lies in scalable, durable system that can be replicable across regions. So we look forward to continue our conversation maybe forward and beyond ADSW. Thank you so much for your time.